Hey everyone, I know in the past couple of videos I've talked about various different aspects of Linux, how I chose a Linux distribution, how to switch from Windows to Linux, and why I switched and why you should too. Today I kind of wanted to break some of those points down a bit further and talk about how I started using Linux as a beginner and kind of break it down a little bit and give you guys more of the story. I know I've felt like I've only given some general information in the past videos. So I kind of want to just delve a little bit deeper. I'm not meaning to, kind of extend those videos, but I just want to kind of give more context. So how I started using Linux as a beginner. I'm not going to state the reason why, because obviously the reason why, well, now I'm stating it. The reason why is, I just got sick of Windows and had a poor performing laptop, and I wanted to switch to something that would better utilize my resources. So that's why I switched to Linux. Upon looking, keep in mind, I was a beginner at the time. I was still in college, had a lot of free time, and upon that, it was really tough at the beginning because I just kind of started looking up, how to, or not how to, but what distributions would be the best for someone starting out, right? And you get a lot of different answers like Fedora, Manjaro, Debian, Linux Mint, Ubuntu, a couple of the more well mentioned names, right? So how I started was I picked a couple that I liked. For example, I really, everyone on every forum and stuff like that, a lot of people said Ubuntu was the main one, and it's where a lot of people start and a lot of people stay because it's just that good, right? So I kind of started with Ubuntu and a VM, and it seemed pretty nice. At first I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was trying to do stuff in Windows, but you gotta have the mentality you have to relearn kind of the OS a little bit. It's a little bit different. But I started off at first, and something came into mind to me. I'm more of a, I guess, how did I say it, like a privacy focused individual. I know I'm posting videos on YouTube doesn't make me private, but I value my digital privacy a little bit, and I don't want Microsoft when I type things in the search bar on the start menu to pull up search results, right? So I started thinking, and I looked into, is Ubuntu privacy friendly, according to various creators I followed at the time, and a site I reference, digital footprint thing, I can't remember, but I looked into that, and I found that Ubuntu was kind of guilty for a couple things in the past where they'd sell ads. They had Amazon via coming in by default, and Amazon paid them to do that, and they would sell your information via whatever you did. I think looking up in the search bar, I believe, and as well another thing with I think it was Snap packages. They would with Ubuntu, your package manager would install Snaps by default. And I know there's a lot of hate around Snaps, and I personally don't like Snaps, and that was another thing too. I just kind of felt like it intruded on my privacy, and it wasn't right for me. There's a couple other instances where Canonical, I think, or not instance, but Canonical was the ones who did that whole Amazon thing where they sold your data and whatnot, and there's proof of it. I know there's a video of Richard Stallman calling it out and whatnot. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So it wasn't just that. There's a couple other things too. Some of the, it was very easy, very beginner friendly, but I wanted something that was just solid and concrete, and mainly just more there's not something that's blatantly obvious, that's not privacy friendly. I know there's a couple things probably in other distros, but this one seemed pretty clear, pretty, it was easy to find on Google. I wasn't deep searching Reddit forums and whatnot, right? So that kind of led me to go to Linux Mint, but then I realized I had a realization, using my brain, shocking, right? That Linux Mint, it's not Ubuntu, but it's based off Ubuntu. So I'm that just doesn't jive with me. I tried out Mint. I liked it a lot. It was very, very smooth. It just felt great. Out of the box, just basically worked. It literally was it works distro, like everyone says. So upon doing some more research over the next couple days after that, trying Ubuntu, trying just regular Linux Mint, I found out that Linux Mint made another distribution called Linux Mint Debian Edition, and I heard a lot of good things about Debian. How it's very stable. It's not that complex. I mean, there's a little bit of a learning curve if you're brand new, but it's overall a lot of people use it. And a lot of people are very happy with it, right? So that kind of led me to the point, to start using and trying Linux Mint Debian Edition, and then I tried that out for a while, and it seemed very concrete, very good. And I liked how, I tried a little bit of Debian too, and I liked how it kind of mixed both aspects together, and it made it a really good starter machine, or not machine, starter OS for me, as a beginner. So from there on out, that's how I started using Linux as a beginner. I started with Linux Mint Debian Edition 5, I believe, and that was how I started and kind of how I got to that realization. And then from that, it kind of more things, not going to go into a lot of detail, but, kind of it was that thought process that led me to a distro. You got to really find what you're passionate about, what you want, and what you want to get out of it. I know that if for gaming and stuff, it can be kind of questionable. I know a lot of people like to go with, I think it's Pop! OS or something, or Manjaro. I'm not really sure. I'm not much of a gamer. I kind of left that after COVID. That's done. I did it too much. But what really helps is if you're trying to find a distro as a beginner, really, and starting to use Linux as a beginner, you really got to find, it's just like that passion, like I did, that little story I explained with, what I saw, what didn't look right, and what felt right to me, and kind of come to a compromise, if you will. I know a lot of people that use like Arch-based stuff or Debian-based stuff. There's some people that have a theory. They don't like System D. I think they use like Devian. I think it's called. It's not Debian, but Devian with a V. So you really got to find what you're looking for, and if you have certain ideologies that don't let you use certain things because you don't want to use it, that's totally fine. And that's kind of really where you find yourself as a beginner. I mean, obviously, I'd try to pick something easier, but really find, what you believe in, what you want, what you're looking for, and that'll suit you better in the long run as opposed to using something that's not what you feel comfortable with and what you're not looking for. So I hope that kind of all makes sense. Just kind of wanted to elaborate a little bit more specifically my journey and how I got to using Linux today. Now today I just use Debian, but that's a different story. So yeah, I mean, if you want Linux Mint Debian Edition or any of the distros I mentioned in this video, like Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Linux Mint Debian Edition, try them out. I mean, Linux Mint Debian Edition is probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite, because that's how I got into Linux. So yeah, I'll feel free to give it a try. Let me know in the comments if you've tried it or what you think about it. If it sucks, let me know why you hate it. I just I like seeing other people's perspectives, but that's how I got started with Linux as a beginner, and I hope that kind of helps you guys put things into perspective if you're a new Linux user out there or trying to be a new Linux user. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.